So on to, kind of the misconception is, hey, insurance is going to pay the ransom, or we're going to pay the ransom, or we're going to get our data back. But when we look at reports from like Sophos, the state of ransomware, very good report again. They show you that the percentage of data restored after paying the ransom is only 61%. So that's imagine me walking into your organization and deleting 39% of your data and say, hey, okay, can you still function as an organization? Can you still sell your product or service your customer? And most likely there's going to be something vital in that 39% that's going to be damaging. And I know, again, we have a lot of different industries on this phone, but if you are considered a small business, this is huge to you because the stat hasn't changed much over the past 4 or 5 years. 65% of small businesses close within 6 months of a breach. Why? Because we can't function without our data, and we can't afford to recover it sometimes. So the follow up to that is the percentage of data, or the percentage of people that get everything back after they pay a ransom. It's only 4%. So it's very slim odds that you're going to get all of your functional data back, where you can bring your organization back on track like they were pre-breach. So again, it's really important, and the Sophos report digs even deeper into how we're recovering. Some of it's being via the payment to the attacker to get it back, and then some of it is using your own data backups to try to build everything back up. But it is a difficult process, and the backups are going to be vital in this process.
Johnny, if you
Yes,
could go
sir.
back to that last slide, considering I mean, 61% is at the very least over 50%, but we look at 4% and being able to have 100% recovery. Um, as a partner who tries to build solutions for our customers, to me that says that there are a lot of entities that maybe have incomplete plans or don't have plans in place for how they're going to back up their data, how they test their backups, um, understanding what it takes to get them to a place where they have reliable backups that they can use to bounce back. Is that what that says to you, or is that maybe an indication that the style of attack has continued to evolve and even reliable backups are getting corrupted, and maybe there's no way to ensure that you have a 100% reliable backup?
Well, the answer to the question, as far as the plans, is we look at incident response plans. They're definitely weak, and
Mm.
the IBM report has some really good data on that topic as well. But from our working with our clients across pretty much all industries, I can tell you the incident response plan is probably, and disaster recovery plans are probably the two biggest ignored policies out there. So
Mm.
when we are trying to assess our ability to recover and respond to an attack, um, you find the plans a little bit messy. And what we see is clients responding to an attack, are reacting to an attack instead of responding. We
Mm.
want you to respond. We want you to have a practice playbook. And the interesting thing is that the IBM report shows that the the organizations that have good, well thought out and practiced incident response plans and well established incident response teams save an average of $2 million over those who do not have good plans in place. So it kind of tells you right there that that plays into this ability to recover a little bit. But as it relates to the backups, we have to have immutable backups. We have to be backing up in multiple locations and doing some type of air gap backup. If we're not doing that, it's a very high likelihood that you are going to see your backups encrypted as well as your primary data. And kind of how we get this, we have to sell management on the risk here. They have to understand that, hey, we're not just asking for extra dollars to tie ourselves to some fancy new backup system. There's a real risk here, and we're trying to avoid risk with implementing the correct style of backups.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned selling management, on these things, and that's something, as we work with IT professionals and IT leaders, I think sometimes Obviously sales gets a bad rap because there are so many people who do it the wrong way. But I think a lot of times folks we work with in technology, they are, kind of science's version of an artist. They have their own unique way. They've come up with their own strategy for how to manage their network or to solve their organization's problems. And to tell someone that, you may need to sell somebody on your goal, on your idea, on your plan, on your vision, sometimes you see leaders react to that in a way that is, I guess they have a poor reaction to it.
Yeah.
And when you're saying, you have to sell management, that's something that we've been trying to stress as a team, as we talk to our customers or as we go to different speaking events. It's unfortunate it's another job that you have to do. It's another hat you're going to have to wear. But if the people that you work with in your organization do not believe why this is important, do not understand your vision, and are not in support of you taking the organization, the city, the county, the bank, whoever it might be, in this direction, then no one's going to be able to move forward. It's if you treat it like a sports team, a football team, you can have two great athletes on the team, but there's 50, 60, 70 people, depending on the level you're at, that are on board. And if they're not on board with you and not all going in pursuit of the same goal, then you're not going to be that successful. And I think that's one of the things, like, as soon as I hear you say selling management, it's unfortunate there are a lot of folks who see it as all of the negative things that come with sales rather than the positive that is getting people to understand why this thing that matters to you actually matters in real life. And
Well,
that's that's something that we have to translate.
yeah.
We have to sell that.
And I think it's important also because when I say sell management, I'm
Mhm.
talking about the CIOs and the CISOs and the IT managers within the company or within that organization trying to sell their own management on an
Mhm.
idea. That's what we see a lot. And unfortunately, our CEOs, our presidents, our board of trustees or board of directors, they all have very specific missions. They're seeing goals that we may not understand at our level.
Mhm.
So I think it's very important to make sure that these boards and your senior leaders, the C suites, are getting some type of periodic information security training. Not to make them information security specialists, obviously, but so they understand the risk and when these topics come up, they can respond accordingly. That's the selling we need to see and that we see a problem with a big client base.
Yeah.
Healthcare and education, two of the biggest problems we see. You have the leaders focused on the mission, which is where we need them focused. But like to use your coaching analogy or to use your sports team analogy, you can have two best players on the team, but if the coach doesn't understand the field or can't call the right play, these players are not going to be used,
Mhm.
to the best of their ability. But I think it's a very difficult conversation. I get asked the question pretty much every time I speak. How do we get management to pay attention? Sadly, get breached is probably the easiest way for them to pay attention. Um,
not, not
but
not not the nicest way though.
yeah, not the nicest way, but probably the biggest leverage that's working is explaining to them that, hey, there's a chance your cybersecurity insurance is not going to pay because we don't have the controls in place that we're
Mhm.
expected to have in place. We have
Yeah.
to pay attention to these things if we truly want to be covered, and that's been helping.
Mhm.
That's at least perking up the ears and getting the conversation started. But I'll tell you, the organizations I work with that are in the best shape, the president, the CFOs, the senior leaders are in every meeting and they require IT to be in every meeting. They want to hear the data, they need the data, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in the risk assessment piece. They have to understand the risk so they can make decisions based on that knowledge. But if they're sheltering or shielding or insulating themselves from this information, it's going to be very, very hard for your CIOs and CISOs to make positive ground in the world of security. It's a
Yeah.
tough topic. Whole nother presentation probably, but